Welcome to More Than a Few Words, marketing conversation for business owners. This is your host, Lorraine Ball. And I want to present an idea to you today, and that is that everything you do speaks. Every time you put out communication, it can change, both positively or negatively, what your audience thinks about you. And if you want to stay on the right side of that equation, well, I've got a conversation just for you. My guest, Chris Moore, helps leaders turn big ideas into real world success. He's a best selling author, a dynamic keynote speaker, and a leadership consultant with 25 years of experience. As the founder of Maximum Impact, Chris has guided small businesses and Fortune 500 companies into aligning their vision with their strategy and building high performance cultures. Most importantly, driving results. His latest book, Turn Vision into Reality, offers strategies for leaders who want to stop dreaming and start achieving. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's great to be here, Lorraine.
It is so nice to have you here. And I love this topic of really thinking about your message and keeping your message aligned with your vision. If I want to do that, where do I start?
Well, really, it does start with that vision, with that dream. As a business owner, when we first open up, we're looking towards that day one. We have this vision of what life is going to be like and what this is going to do for us. And one of the key things that we miss is that our vision isn't big enough. Now, most of the time when I mention big enough, we think about money. We think about vacations. We think about trips. But when I talk about big enough, I think it's more about how is your customers and how are your team going to interact with that vision? Do you have a dream for them as well that you communicate, they understand, and it becomes a bit of their dream?
Awesome. I love that idea of sharing your vision because I'm a big believer that even if you own your own business, other people have to help you achieve it. And so, how do you get people on board with your vision? How do you make sure that the messages that you're putting out there are conveying what you want to convey and build that vision into a reality?
We spend a lot of time dreaming and not a lot of time communicating. And especially as a business owner, as a new business owner, it's a skill that you have to learn, and something that you have to focus on is delivering that communication of your vision. When you just have one or two employees, it's simple, but it seems like when you add that third and fourth one, things begin to get really complicated. And so what you think you're communicating, you aren't always. And this is true whether you're just a beginning startup or whether it's some of the largest corporations. You can think about some of the communications that have come out from corporations over the last year, over the last 10 years, and see where what they were communicating did not really match their brand or the vision that they had. And unfortunately, we all fall into that mistake. So I also...
Absolutely. And so, as we were talking, you mentioned earlier before we were online that you have 4 questions that really help keep communication on course. And if you're okay with it, I'd love to dive into those questions.
Yeah. So these 4 questions really get to the root of helping us communicate our vision, but then also it helps us to miss some of those missteps that we end up having, the things that we regret. We wish we wouldn't have said that. We wish we wouldn't have put that out. So question number one is, does this represent our vision for our company? When you ask this question, a lot of times you will end up with, this doesn't say anything about my vision at all. Well, take the opportunity to deliver that vision to your customer, to your team, whoever you're communicating to, and include that vision in there so that you support the direction that you're going.
So how do you balance that? Because I think sometimes, as you said, visions have to be bigger. They have to include everybody. But as I'm in day-to-day communication, doesn't that get a little bit bogged down when I try to overlay that vision behind everything? How do I balance that?
Well, we feel like our message is getting over communicated. A few years ago, I met with a a CEO of a very large organization. They have 2,000 plus locations across 2 different companies, and they were thinking that their mission, their vision for their organization was getting passed on. And in the meeting the day before, he was meeting with several of his regional managers and asked a single question that had to do with what they were trying to accomplish. Not a single manager could answer him what it was, even though on every single internal communication and every single public communication, their commercials, everything that they're putting out had a few taglines that represented their vision, and nobody in that room knew what it was.
Wow.
And so if you feel like you're over communicating, you probably aren't.
Okay. All right. So that's great. Question number 1 is, does this communication line up with us? What's question number 2?
What does this say about us and our brand? There are so many missteps that we have seen over the last few years where companies have said something, put out something, been interviewed in the news, or just had something happen. You know, how many times in airports have we seen that a single employee somewhere, either on a plane or at the gate, has said a few words that have gone viral? And when you look at that and you look at the brand of that company, it doesn't really match.
That is such a good example. And probably United is the one that keeps popping into my head, that they've had more missteps. It just feels like every time they turn around, one of their employees is doing something that has to be making their CEO cringe. And that is such a key point, that everybody's got to be thinking about how does this reflect on my company? Okay, question number 3.
Question number 3 is, what does this say about our team? You know, if we're trying to build an organization that is about trust, that's about commitment, and we're about customer first, but the communication that we put out to our customers or even to our team gives the message that they don't have control, they don't have the option to make choices, they can't make decisions, does that match what we're saying is our vision and our brand? And so it says something to our team. One of 2 things is that we don't trust them, or we're unwilling to let go. And then 2, are we putting in the time and effort into our team that we need to train them, or again, to communicate that vision and that brand message so they understand what the goal is that they're reaching for.
Awesome. All right, let's bring it in with question number 4.
Question number 4 is, what does this say about our customers?
Oh, yeah.
You know, so many times we communicate a message and we forget about who we're talking to, because we're thinking maybe we do what the traditional marketing is. We segmented out our list. You know, we have this customer, we have this customer. We talk about avatars, and the truth is many times we serve many different demographics, many different avatars. But the message that we're putting towards one, what does it say about another group of our customers when we put that out there? And again, does it represent what the vision is for our country? You know, one of those, or for our company? Is it the customer that we are trying to serve, that the one that we are reaching out to, the one that we're there to make their life better? Does our communication say that to our customers, and does it speak to the customer that we're talking to? And the truth is, everything that we do, from the clothes that we wear to the cleanliness of our facility, to the ads that we put out, to the way that we speak to our employees, says something to our customers. There was an ad executive, his name is Jeffrey Button. He's the head of Button Advertising. And I was in a meeting once, and he said this. He said, everything speaks. And the things that are not spoken speak louder than the messages that are.
Absolutely. That is, all of those pieces put together really, if a company will take the time and follow that, is going to guide them in the right direction. How do you, because I think the place where companies have really gotten bitten is often on social media, because social media moves so quickly. How do you put some checks in place to make sure that you're at least passing through this vision filter before you just post something out there?
Well, it really is just sharing these 4 questions and having people pause to think. You know, I have a few executives that over time, what they have done, they've actually delayed email that they have that goes out. so that everything that they send out waits at least an hour before it leaves. A few goes through their executive assistants. Now, in small business, we don't necessarily have that option, but you need to make sure that before you respond to that Yelp review or to that Google review, that you write everything out and you pause and you go back later and read it. Or better yet, give it to one of your team members, pass it along to your spouse or significant other and have them read it and say, if you got this in the mail, what does this say to you? And again, does how you respond represent your vision and your brand? What does it say about you? What does it say about the person that you're speaking to? Just take that pause before you respond. Things do move quickly, but we don't have to respond within 30 seconds every single time.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things people forget sometimes is they think they have to in the moment, and they don't. Chris, this was fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lorraine. I really enjoyed speaking to you.
I did too, and I am going to encourage my audience, if you're curious and want to learn more, check out Chris at Chris Moore Live and look at all of the resources that he has. Thank you again, Chris.
Thank you.
And if you've enjoyed this conversation, if you'd like to find other resources for your business, hop over to morethanafewwords.com. You'll find more than 1,000 episodes in our archive, along with workbooks and white papers and some online training. And subscribe so you never miss another episode. This has been another episode of More Than a Few Words. Thanks for listening. Cool.